Hey everybody, Ben here for the Bonehead podcast, and welcome to Special Teams Sunday. Every Sunday we get together and we have a look at some of the best unofficial teams in Blood Bowl. Now, we've delved into Fumble, we've had a look at all sorts. Last week we took our first look at some teams that were released by Games Workshop in the last edition in the My DugOut app. There were 4 teams that were kind of previewed there. We had a Slayer team, we had the Savage Orc team we looked at last week, we've got the Pestilent Vermin team, which is the disease flavour of Skaven, which we're looking at today, and there's also the Nobility team, the Prince team, that kind of merged with Bretonnian to become the Imperial Nobility team that we all know and love from Blood Bowl 2020. So we thought we'd have a look at the My DugOut app teams to maybe get a sneaky peek into where Games Workshop might take Blood Bowl. Anyway, the first thing to point out is that this is for the old edition rules. This is Blood Bowl 2016, so there won't be a passing stat. The rules kind of different. Obviously, we're all playing 2020 now, but if you are a 2016 mad lad, then these rules will be perfect for you. But I think we could see teams like this in the future from Games Workshop. Anyway, let's have a look at the Pestilent Vermin team from the My DugOut app. So as the roster breaks down, you've got 0 to 16 Novitiate Linemen. Now, they are basically Skaven with 1 less movement. And they've also got Disturbing Presence. So no skills for ball handling, for combat, but the entire Lineman crew have Disturbing Presence. So that will immediately shut down any kind of passing game for your opponent. Passing was potentially better in Blood Bowl 2016 and got more exciting in 2020 for sure. Now, if this transfers over to 2020 and they all have Disturbing Presence, then passing is done. Now, that is passing for bombs, for throw teammate, for everything. Talking of bombs, they've got 0 to 4 Pox-Flingers, which are Bombardier, Pass, and Secret Weapon. So you've got 50k Bombardiers on the Pestilent Vermin team. Now, Clan Pestilence is a subset of Skaven. Okay, you've got the standard Skaven, you've got Clan Eshin, which are the ninjas, that's where gutter runners come from, and you've also got Clan Pestilence, which are the very nurgly ones. Okay, these are the diseased, scabrous dudes. And they also have the Poison Wind Globadiers, which are basically Pox-Flingers, the little glass vials that they throw that in this case explode and murder things, but really can drop diseases and stuff. It's horrible. Now, it's a very cool thing to be included. Poison Keepers are your runners, Cardinals are your blitzers, and the Rat Ogre is the Rat Ogre. So there's no thrower, there's no sure hands piece. So the Pox-Flingers having access to that pass on your roster, and the fact that they are Bombardiers with pass, makes them excellent value for 50k. And you're kind of only scoring threat from a throw point of view. Really interesting tweak. We've got 0 to 2 Poison Keepers, who are not as good as Gutter Runners, but they are stronger. They become your runners. You may not have a thrower, not really, except for the Pox-Flingers. They do come with pass, but Secret Weapon means that they're going to be gone after 1 drive. But movement 8 runners for the Poison Keepers, they're going to become your main scoring threat. Cardinals are your blitzers. Strength 3, movement 6, and block with horns gives you a very versatile strength 4 blitzer. Okay, they're your beastmen. So between the movement 8 Poison Keepers and the strength 4 blitzing Cardinals, you've got a pretty decent offense here, and you can take a Rat Ogre just for good measure. Now, 150k for that Rat Ogre in this edition is an absolute bargain. Wild Animal is fine if it doesn't go wrong. You know, it's great. If it goes wrong, never mind. It just stands there screaming at your opponent. In the new edition, look for that to potentially become Animal Savagery, and then you might start murdering your own players. 70k rerolls does make rostering this team a bit of a challenge, but as long as you've got those Poison Keepers and Cardinals, everything else is really just seasoned to your taste. So let's have a look at the linemen first. The Novitiate Linemen are 0 to 16, 50k, movement 6, strength 3, edge 3, armor 7, and disturbing presence for 50k. So you lose 1 movement from a standard Skaven lineman, and you get that disturbing presence. Now, DP's not going to do the masses unless your opponent is going to be throwing. It will affect teammate, it will affect bombs, and it will affect the ball as well. It's going to be useful every now and again. If you play it against Nurgle, you'll know and you'll forget, and all of a sudden you are trying to throw, or you plan to throw, and actually you've got -3 to the ball. Because these are linemen, and there's going to be quite a few of them, and they're going to be on the line. Now, with movement 6, they are less flexible than Skaven, and with armor 7, they are just as fragile as Skaven. So look for them to die as appropriately as you would expect a disease-ridden Skaven team. General and Mutation on singles for this team. for the linemen means they are really interesting. Now, the fact that Disturbing Presence is already there is intriguing. What it does mean is you've got a mutation element, so you can take Claw on your lineman if you want to. In the old edition, Claw and Mighty Blow stack. Strength is a double, so you may not get it, but they can just take Claw. Now, they can also take Horns, and you end up with a team of Beastmen. They can take Foul Appearance if you want to just really play into the diseased element of it. But I think here you've got some great opportunities for Wrestle and 2 heads. That means they've got Edge basically 4 when dodging. So that means they're going to be able to dodge into a tackle zone. They're going to be able to use that Wrestle at strength 3. They are just a couple of skills away from being fantastic players. Wrestle, Horns, and 2 heads means they're dodging on a 2+, 3+ into a tackle zone, 4+ into 2 tackle zones, strength 4, Wrestle Blitz on a line rat. With no doubles, that is a brilliant opportunity. Now, because they're linemen, you can also stick the classic kick. You've got block. You've got sure hands if you want to create an additional ball carrier. There's a ton you can do with these guys. They're really versatile. That Disturbing Presence is going to be sneaky effective sometimes as well. Now, we kind of talked about the Pox-Flingers already. They're 50k, 0 to 4 of them, okay? That is a ton of bomb potential, general and passing, so you can take passing skills and they can get better. Movement 6, Strength 3, Edge 3, Armor 7, same as the lineman. No Disturbing Presence on these guys. They've got Bombardier, Pass, and Secret Weapon. So when you are bombardiering stuff with these guys, they get an inbuilt reroll, so you can go for some bad throws. And because you've got that pass access, you can chuck Accurate on them. +1 to passing, and you've already got Pass. You can go Hail Mary Pass. You've got Pass to get that reroll in. There's a ton you can do with these guys, but at 50k you can sneak 1 onto your roster, maybe even 2, and at some point you might actually just have the cash to be able to sneak 3 or 4. I think 2 is probably enough, a couple for the drive, but because you are Skaven and you are going to have players that do kind of balloon when it comes to team value, the ability to take 4 is better than being able to take bribes. For the same cost as a bribe when it comes to your TV, you can get 2 of these guys. And that might be the better way to go, because bombers tend to throw themselves up sometimes. Now, this is your only throwing access, okay? This is your only passing access. So if you are looking at developing a leader, you're going to have to be very careful with how you use it. You're going to have to be the first reroll you use, which it should be anyway. But when it comes to your bombardier, if you don't get that reroll off, this player is gone. Because a secret weapon, I love it. I think it's cool. I think it's a really interesting design bit. We've got a Skaven team with secret weapons. I'm a big fan already. So the Poison Keepers are not gutter runners, but they are kind of close. So 0 to 2 of them. Movement 8, not quite as fast. Strength 3 is stronger than a gutter runner. Edge 3 is worse than a gutter runner. Armor 7 is the same. Dodge and stab. It's a really interesting positional. They're 100k, so they are expensive. But what you end up with is a stronger, less agile gutter runner. While your gutter runner tends to be the I'm going to run off and win games, these guys are going to be your runners, basically. You don't have a thrower, so these guys don't need to be catchers, and with that movement 8 and strength 3, they can become runner blitzers, okay? They are 1 skill away from becoming movement 8, strength 3 blodgers, and it's just uphill from there. They get general and agility, so blodge step is definitely within range, but it means you can absolutely flex them up. If you want them to become catchers, they can become catchers. Now, I would imagine the Poison Keepers will play out more like fast runners, okay? So Sure Hands is going to be a great skill. Blodge, Sure Hands is a great way to start off having 2 great scoring threats. This is old rules, so you can hopefully roll a random stat up. You get Edge 4 on these guys, you are absolutely cooking. If you don't, then actually block is the best first skill. Okay, if both of these guys get block, you've got 4 blocking players, and 2 of them being movement 8 gives you so much flexibility. Now, the mutations to these guys are double, so you can't pull off any absolutely crazy shenanigans, which is a bit of a shame because 2 heads would make up for that agility like differential, but that's fine. And they come with stab as well, which is free rolled. Now, when they're strength 3 armor 7, they are vulnerable, but they've got dodge already. You take block, then you can put a blodger with stab on base, in base contact with somebody to give that stab a go. You do sidestep on them as well. 1 goes blodge step, 1 goes sure hands. Sure hands is your ball carrier, blodge step is your assassin, but also a secondary scoring threat. You're going to be able to murder stuff and just dance around them, repeatedly stabbing them until you shiv them to the end. Interesting positional. I like it. It's just a really clever way of doing it. It is different. They are slower, clumsier gutter runners that can stab things. So here are your blitzers, the Cardinals. So 0 to 2, 80k, movement 6, strength 3, edge 3 and armor 8. So they are, like the rest of the team, movement busted by 1. These guys at least have proper armor. Block and horns means that they are basically just very good beastmen. Now, we've already talked about the other guys being the ball carriers, okay, the 2 poison keepers with their movement 8, and they start with dodge, they become very evident, like scoring threat. But these guys having horns means that you will not only have those 2 fast players, but you will also have these as very effective scoring threats. They will be able to blitz out with 2 dice against most targets. And because they start with that horns element, they just get free rolled it, you can start building up those other skills that are going to make them really effective. Mighty Blow with these guys is going to be great. They're going to be great tacklers. You can chuck Frenzy on them and just go the carnage murder route. But realistically, you've got a ton of stuff you can do. They can become your guard players. That you can even put sure hands on these if you want them to be your scoring threats. These are your blitzers though, and until you take the Rat Ogre, they're going to be your primary way of removing players. So Tackle and Mighty Blow will be the go-to skills for your blitzer. They are slower than Skaven blitzers, but movement 6 gives you plenty of speed. And because they're going to be able to blitz at strength 4, if you need to get away from somebody, you should be able to swing a cheeky push or a both down to free up your own tackle zone. That means that these guys can be very effective at removing players and also scoring touchdowns. That is a pretty great place for your blitzer to be. And then there's the Rat Ogre. So with 70k rerolls and 2 100k pieces and 2 80k pieces, the roster is quite expensive. So being able to start out with a Rat Ogre means you have to give up quite a lot. But you do get a load of stuff in return. Now you can definitely move things around and take a Rat Ogre on this roster, and it's going to do great things. Movement 6, Frenzy, Mighty Blow is just great. Strength 5 is going to do wonders for you. And those multiple 2-die block, basically it's going to be 4-die blocking most of the time. All you need to do is start removing players and it starts making up its TV difference. The fact that this team has a Rat Ogre allows you to have that extra resilience if you want to, and because of the price of the players, you kind of end up with 2 builds. You go positional build, you go Rat Ogre build, and I like rosters that have 2 good choices. I think the optimal choice is your positionals, but actually there's nothing wrong with taking 2 blitzers and a Rat Ogre and just trying to pound the ground when it comes to this, because the Rat Ogre is going to open a ton of running games. And even in the new edition, the Roger is a superb player, but this here with Wild Animal, you don't need to activate it, and if you do, it doesn't lose its tackle zone. So Prehensile Tail does not go away, and it's not going to take out one of your own players. So you can go straight up. You've got Mighty Blow. You can chuck Guard to make your other Skaven pretty useful. You can't take Grab. When it comes to skills, Rat Ogres are just great. You want to roll that double and take... do you want to take Claw? Frenzy Claw or Frenzy Block? It's a tough one. It doesn't matter. There's not a bad choice. Rat Ogres are great fun. They are not the most reliable players, but when they do the thing they do, you are going to be very glad that you've got them on your team. Okay, so starting lineup, this would be mine. I don't think it actually comes in at TV 1000. I think I just forgot to update the graphic. Ooh, my roster, 97. Okay, so this comes in at 970,000, so you've got 30k left over. You get 9 linemen, 1 Pox-Flinger, 2 Poison Keepers, 2 Cardinals. So you end up with 12 players on your roster, backed up with 3 rerolls. Now you've got 30k in the treasury. That means after your first game, you're going to have 50k probably in your treasury. You can take an Apothecary if you want to keep your guys safe, or you can pick up a second Pox-Flinger and just go for the fun. Now, we've got 12 players here, so you bring on that Pox-Flinger when you are good and ready, and it will bomb things. Or, this is the clever thing with this roster, is as he's your 12th man, you can bring him on if you want a thrower for a drive. You can use him in the backfield, take it, and use that pass. With Edge 3, you're 3++ because he starts with pass. So actually, if you want to have a stretch game in your first thing, you've got 2 good blitzers who are strength 4 blitzing, and you've got 2 movement 8 dodge runners. You've got a decent offense here, and using that Pox-Flinger as your offensive driver and like basically game manager for a single drive is a clever way to use a player that otherwise you would only use in a single way. And that's something I do really love about this roster, is that you've got that secondary angle. As over time, what you want to do is pick up an Apothecary to keep your dudes alive, and then pick up at least a second or third Pox-Flinger. It gives you the option to run them as throwers, but it also gives just that bomb threat. Now, when it comes to the linemen, block, wrestle, 2 heads. They are great because they are general and mutation. They get that stuff on regular skills anyway. Kick is going to be great for Skaven, but this team is not as fast as Skaven. If you use Kick, what it's going to do is going to buy your linemen time not to die. It's probably not as good as block or wrestle to keep them alive. But 2 heads is all 2 heads and horns and extra arms is always an option now for you with that mutation ability. Foul appearance is going to be pretty useful too on the line, but you get a double, you can take guard, you get those non-doubles, you've got some great suite of skills there for the lineman. Now the Pox-Finger taking accurate or Hail Mary pass is going to be great fun for you. It's going to be a player sitting at 70k with a 2+ quick pass with a bomb. Alright, 3++, 6 square, bombardier, brilliant fun. Poison Keepers getting block is a absolute no-brainer. One of them picking up Sure Hands makes them their primary ball carrier, and the other one taking Sidestep will have extra movement. And also, at that point, you've got a Strength 3 Blodger in base contact with your opponent. You should be able to sidestep around a target. So you go pop him next door to a runner on any team. He's just going to take a bunch of free stabs, and it's not going to cost you. The Cardinals, Mighty Blow, Guard, Tackle, your standard Blitzer suite. Now, to this roster, you take the Apothecary, you take your second Pox-Flinger, and then you save up like mad to pick up that Rat Ogre to really hoon the strength in with this roster. It's cool. It's a very different look at Skaven. It's not as good, but it does hurt more stuff, and that in itself is actually quite refreshing. Alright, so if you want to run this roster on the tabletop, this is where you need to go. So Games Workshop do this unit, which is called Plague Monks from Age of Sigmar. Now, old school Warhammer is the same thing, actually. £30 basically, and you get, what, 20 of these guys? 20 dudes? I think seems about right. 20, 20, 20. That's your lineman. And then you can take the pieces in this kit and you can upgrade them, okay? You've got a head swap maybe. You can chuck on some of the big stuff to make your Blitzer, do some cool conversions. You've got blades there to make your Poison Keepers. Picking up a couple of Globadiers or Wind Globadiers, Plague, I don't know. The Bombers is going to be a great opportunity to pick up some cool models. But with this kit, you've got enough there to convert everything except your Rat Ogre. And if all else fails, make all the models like this and just colour code the bases, colour code their hoods, give them coloured stripes to identify them. There's enough here to get you started and get you to the pitch for about the same price as a standard Blood Bowl team. And it's a great way to try out a different way to play Skaven. Movement 8, Strength 3, Dodge, Stab is really interesting. Not as good as a Gutter Runner, but it does have more offensive potential. This roster has more offensive potential. It is slower than Skaven, but it is more hurty in a roundabout way. And once you take that Rat Ogre, it's really going to start dishing out stuff. And it's a cool way to get some modelling to the table. And because of the style of the team, you can just use it as a Skaven team as well. Okay, so that's our second team from the My Dugout app, the Pestilent Vermin one. Can I see Games Workshop producing a team like this? Yes, I can. I think they're probably okay with the Skaven stuff. I don't think this is going to be one of the quickest things that we see. That said, we've seen some Chaos Star players coming. It is possible they could release this with Chaos stuff. I don't think that's going to be the case. But a Clan Pestilence roster could be really cool. There's some real fun ones on Fumble. I'm not sure if we've done them or not. They've got Plague Sensor Bearers, who are basically Ball and Chain, which is another cool way. The fact that this team has just got that gribbly effect to it, the mutation access on linemen, and the, not foul appearance, but disturbing presence, it all adds up to quite a thematic roster. It is not as good as Skaven. It is slower and clunkier than Skaven, but you get to play with bombs, and it's just a really interesting roster. I would be very happy if this landed in Blood Bowl 2020 with a wicked kit. If they go Pestilence, I'd be really excited. As long as there's kind of a secret weapon angle in there, as long as there's kind of something that's a bit less effective than standard Skaven, I think that's just another fun thing to do. So I like this team. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see something like this from Games Workshop in the future. Probably not soon, but definitely got to be in the pipeline. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think of this roster and the rosters from the My Dugout app so far. I know it's Blood Bowl 2016 rules, but it's still really interesting because I think it's a really clever way for us to sneak into the minds of where Games Workshop were at least thinking about the last edition anyway. We've seen Nobility, Savage Orcs, Pestilence, Slayers. I would be happy with any of those being added to the new edition. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap up now. Thank you ever so much for watching. We'll be back soon with more Blood Bowl content. Happy blocking. Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to help support the channel even further, please like and subscribe, or come join us on our Patreon. We have early access to content, we get loads of feedback from you guys, and we try and do competitions as much as we can. Or you can get yourself some Bonehead podcast merch on our Spreadshirt site. So if you want to support a team, especially for the Bonehead Championship, you can pick up a shirt, a mug, things like that. It all helps support the channel, and we really appreciate it. Anyway, links below. Thank you very much. Happy blocking.